Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 here with my playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with BlackICE and Third Reich Events installed. I thought I would start out this episode a little bit here with talking about what I'm thinking of doing for this attack on the Soviet Union here. We are in April, halfway through April. I'm planning roughly a May attack. I think that will be... I've looked at some of the areas here. It looks like we could start now, but I'm just not quite ready to yet. But we're going to go there. I'm going to switch over to this view to look at the terrain a little bit. We've got Army Group Nord here, and I've not done historical commanders, but put reasonably good ones in place here. Basically, we're going to punch out here, take out these forces here, overrun, pocket them, various things. And, you know, Leningrad is a prime target for what we're going to do there. Now, some of the forces will move this way, while some elements of... You need to reorganize this still a little bit more before we go at it. Let's see. Yeah, oh, that's why. Because he's gonna just has this one corps under him. That's some of the fortress ones that we're gonna move eventually to the center. But Army Group MIT, or Middle Center, normally what it's called in English, is going to coordinate up and try to pocket these units here and move through. This is just god-awful moving through. Just don't even think about trying to move your forces through here, these swamps. You will have to clean it out. You can try to, because a fair amount of Soviet forces will retreat into the swamps. You can try to pocket it out, the whole thing. I've never done that very successfully, so what I have done here is have a few of these units, a few Jaeger units. I try to maximize their bad terrain capabilities, but the anti-tank units dissipate that to some degree. But because we're going to potentially be facing Soviet armor at various times, I wanted some anti-tank in there. So some of these Jaeger units will help us clear out the swamp in here. So we will be doing that. Army Group Sud, Army Group South. I generally punch through here and move down this way here, trying to create a pocket of all the forces here facing Hungary, as well as push out this way. I will say, as you probably watched, I'm not a strict follow the battle plan kind of person. It's constantly looking for opportunities. Things change and shift. That is a key element in the way I look at this. Good, these guys are here. They need to join up. Now, this group here, which has its HQ currently in Alexandria, because that's Von Rundstedt command group, and we should probably change that. I don't know. They're going to try to bust out through here, move along the coast, and be what the Army Group South element comes into. Because so Germany had 3 army groups moving into there. I've got, well, yeah, in essence, an army that could be attached to Army Group Sud, but another one here which was not in Romania at the time. I think was a stupid move. Probably done for the reasons of moving an army or even a few corps into Romania might have been picked up by um, Stalin's spies. How I would have handled it, and I don't know how they got all the army that was such a shock to Stalin, that, you know, all the armies on the Soviet border without the Soviets thinking something was up. Well, a few did. There were some intelligence elements that did think something was up. So it wasn't quite a no one thought this could happen situation. But I would have just signed, had a big ceremony, had a big noisy thing about honoring defense pacts with Romania, especially after, and we can go back to the flag view, especially after carving up the Second Vienna Dictate, carving out a big chunk of Romania. And if you wonder why they did this to an Axis ally, or partner, however you want to say it, Romania was an allied an allied partner in World War I. It was not a long-term German or Austrian type ally. So it had gone the other way. Because the way the events happened, the event firing these three provinces were given to Bulgaria, as well as to get Bulgaria aligned. So they even carved it up more. And most of this territory had been part of Austria-Hungary, maybe even a little bit more. It just, the way they draw the provinces here are a bit arbitrary. So it had lost the sort of Transylvania type, some of that area there. And it was not given any, and I would have given it this little thing, but I understand that they're following the river. I'm not exactly sure why they didn't give them that little strip there. I would have to Romania, I think, but maybe some other reasons why I don't understand, but I would have given that stuff to Romania. But since, and this was the border along this river before with Germany, before Soviet pressure, and it's what really brought Romania into the Axis camp, realizing that Soviet Union just said, oh, we want this, and they had to give it up because they knew they weren't going to be able to win a fight. So I just would have made big ceremonies, big noise about moving a core-sized element or two into Romania, and secretly moving in a bunch more troops as, guarantees for Romania's independence, blah, 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 blah. Make enough noise and distract everybody, especially with the feeling that prior to the invasion of the Soviet Union, the ground war was over. They defeated France. That was the biggest, the most powerful army in Europe, or so it was perceived, before Germany demonstrated that they were. I mean, it was clearly understood in the Western capital that yes, Germany would be able to punch in through and take over Belgium or whatever, but the French army was the strongest army in Europe. That's stronger than the Soviet army, stronger than the German army. Maybe not stronger than all these other armies combined, but they were the strongest army. Well, it turned out they may have had large numbers of men, large numbers of rifles, large numbers of tanks. They didn't have the morale, the organization, or the design features to keep that a reality. So that army country had been defeated. Britain was on the ropes. It was, yes, still holding out in North Africa with its Italians, but they were just Italians, and there's just a few German divisions down there. And sure, there were German aircraft fighting and all that kind of stuff, but the ground war itself was over. There was the sea war, the submarines, they were still operating. There was the air war. Yes, Germany was being bombed. England was being bombed. That was all still going on, but the war was over. It potentially could have opened a second front. That's sort of why Stalin thought they weren't going to be attacking. Why start another war while you have one already going on, kind of thing. But that would have, I think, been plausible enough, the defense agreement, that, oh yeah, Germany has 3 or 6 divisions or something like that they could station along the Romanian border and do it with flag waving ceremonies to try to make it seem innocuous, that it's not that dangerous, and announce that there's like 3 or 6 divisions or something, but move in 8 or 10 or 12 or whatever instead. So we're going to do that here. Now, this is also going to be a key front in operations here. I'm not exactly sure when it's going to open, and it doesn't need to open on day one. I have opened it on day one at times. I just, with the greater winter effects, I want to keep everything flowing before winter starts. Where before the winter effect, yeah, it was winter, yeah, things weren't going so good, but if your enemy was already disrupted, your enemy was already on the retreat, you could keep going. I think with the snow effects, it's going to bog down a lot more. So I don't want to wait till a June attack. I would really like to get this going here shortly, because I just know history and also playing. There's going to be the Iraq revolt that should be happening fairly shortly. And once that happens, at some point, they will be joining the Axis and coming down there. And so we're going to use that, sitting on the Iranian border with Axis members. Hopefully we will be able to pressure them into joining the Axis, and I would much rather have them join the Axis than invade. The other element, though, of course, there is a potential for a British invasion that's scripted, shall we say, that then I will just plunge armed forces in there. The other thing, and once we free up some of our naval operations, I plan on using naval landings along the ports here to expand the front that the Soviet Union is not defending well. Now, I fully acknowledge that some of my tactics and strategies would not work against a human player. I've always wanted to, and I'd love to play some multiplayer games that are within as you can see, a general structure of a historical basis, meaning that, yeah, we know the Germany and the Soviet Union is going to fight, but the Soviet Union just can't decide to attack Germany, if you know what I mean. They can prepare for it, they can build defenses, they can, more so than historical, they could alter the, build plans for the Soviet Union as to what to build, more tanks, less tanks, whatever it is, and have a human mind behind the defenses. I would really like to do that, and have a player to really try to win the war. I'm not looking for a straw man to knock down. We already have that in the AI, but somebody to sort of play with historical limitations on what they could do. You don't have the U.S. conquering Latin America just because, hey, we're bored, we have the forces, we're going to do it. Now, mentioning that, Germany has a bunch of enemies down here that did not happen historically. Cuba has joined the Allies, Honduras, Guatemala, I think. A bunch of these have joined the Allies, so we are technically at war with them. Well, not technically, we are at war with them, and that's sort of happening right now. And I'm working on my modding, as part of the modding project. I'm adding fortresses to the coastal fortresses to the U.S. This should probably also have a pillbox fortress down here. There are no coastal fortresses here in the U.S., and there should be. There was massive amounts of, fairly large amounts of coastal fortifications, especially down like here in San Francisco. San Francisco should have a fairly heavy coastal fortress. San Rafael, which is, the northern part did, and I've added one here for Oakland, even though it had an island that was fortified. but you couldn't sail through here without being pummeled by both sides. So you need the fortresses to simulate the idea that it's because fortresses in province not being attacked don't have an effect into the sea, but that's so narrow that they should. So actually, Oakland got greater fortresses than San Francisco or the northern part there, and places like Los Angeles. Now, I've just dealt with the, except for Los Angeles, which had a slightly later fortress put into it, the Endicott period, and if you know about it or look up, of American coastal fortifications. What they had been doing starting in 1934, which is just before this period, with the first London Naval Treaty, a class of U.S. battleships that was starting into construction was canceled. So they had a bunch of 16-inch guns, basically what we think of the gun barrel, but that was sort of the hardest part to build, left over. And slowly, there were like 26 of them, I think, the Navy was turning them over to the Army, because the coastal artillery was part of the Army. And they were initially it was planned to put a bunch on the Atlantic wall, or Atlantic coast as well. But once the war with Japan got going, they are. So I have yet to make events covering those added to 16-inch guns, and those would have been very formidable. Most of the coastal defenses would have trouble on the highest level of battleships getting through the armor, but they would have torn apart landing ships, and I don't mean just land like ships carrying troops, because they would have multiple miles of engagement range out there. And so there was also a lot of defenses along here that were designed to, I know we're getting a little off of the invasion of the Soviet Union, sorry about that, but that were designed to protect U.S. Commercial harbors, because in the late 19th century they thought an enemy wasn't going to necessarily be invading, and these weren't anti-invasion so much fortification. They thought that the British fleet or somebody else's would come along the U.S. coast, go outside the harbor, and just sink all the ships in the harbor, and then go down to the next one and sink all the ships in the harbor, and just work your way down the coast. So they built fortifications to protect commercial harbors, not landing zones, not holiday beach places. And so in looking at all this, I found, which I'm a West Coast guy. I live over in California. I visited Boston once when I was really young, so I wasn't paying too much attention. But I don't know if you noticed, this province in Maine is called Portland, and this province here, Connecticut, sorry, is called Portsmouth. Portsmouth is a very famous English, these were, at the time named very famous harbor. These were major shipping harbors at the time, during this time period. And I forget whether it was Portsmouth or I think it was Portland, had a U.S. naval shipyard, which means construction yard, not just naval base. And they just didn't have the right development levels. I added, because I'm a gun collector, New Haven, which was an arms production, along with Hartford. Added that there, but New London has a port. This also, notice the title New Haven. A haven, like a port, should have a port there. So I've gone in and added ports and the defenses in these areas for them along the U.S. coast. Along here, they're going to finish up with the Gulf Coast here. They had some, not as much. So, been working on that project, which will be out for the next version of BlackICE. So back to my plans here. So we're looking at getting ready to invade, and like I was saying, this won't work for a necessarily for a human. They would leave a little more defenses, but even still, how much defenses is a human player? Now, obviously, sort of spoiling any great multiplayer game because I haven't talked about a lot of my strategies before, because now everybody knows what I would plan to do. You know the plans. You can prepare for them. But even if I was facing a human who hasn't watched my series, hasn't done any sort of research on me, how many defenses would they be putting on the Persian border, even if they saw it potentially going to the Axis? Yeah, once it goes to the Axis, they would be sending something there, but that stretches out their commitments. The AI has committed, which there really was a very serious level of forces for facing Japan, because Japan was a real threat as well. They were very concerned with that. But we will see how well things go there. Okay, so on with the game. One of the things also that I'm still shifting forces around. Not ready yet. Okay, yeah, I asked Hungary also to come in, and they've come in in order to get them. They're sort of a safe bet. Most they're going to send their air force around to places and mess with Britain, but hopefully not do anything too stupid. Military power. Okay, 4-engine airframe research. Cargo holds. Research. Where am I missing? It said cargo hold research, because I want to expand. If it's a good time, I want to check to expand the amount of carrying capacity. Here, 43. Yeah, that's good enough. I want to expand carrying capacity of my aircraft. It's important for shipping cargo and paratroopers and such. We're going to be winning there. Welded plate. Armor has advanced, so that's good. Locking armor, not yet. Want to do what we can to keep the tanks fairly well developed. Or other armored fighting vehicles as well. Okay, we have this fleet. Now I think I have my second transport. So I want to get that force in there too. These guys up here. We're we're gonna give this a shot and see how well this goes. We're gonna try the invasion here. I'll stop it if it starts to get pummeled in some way that's not good. No. This is one thing, they should be much lower on supplies in my opinion right now, but they're not. They should, well, I don't know exactly their supply situation, but they should be much more disorganized from lack of supply. Try some aerial attacks. Okay, yay. I knew the any aircraft would be heavy, but I wanted to see if that would help at all. Remember, these guys have been fighting at Gibraltar, so they have a fair amount of experience with this type of warfare. The leaders, okay, now that we're starting to lose too much, we're gonna cancel this. Rebase back to there. Wanted to see the conditions. That's going to take a heavier attack. Thought I had some transports coming. I know I have these guys way up here. Thought I had some closer. We're going to use him to command the Indian Ocean operations. Okay. Way too many forces. So I finally got the South African garrison forces reacting. Retreat. No way we can win. We're spoiling them. Let's see if we can move into there. Thought that's cutting, it's too close. No, we can cancel this. base to there. Gotta keep, because I'm looking at the clock here, gotta keep looking at for the Soviets. Okay, logistical warfare has advanced. That's great. Details. Yeah, okay. First aid, reduce attrition levels. Okay, so this will be, hurts our ICs a bit more than I'd like, but it gives supply throughput, naval basing efficiency, all greatly helped for our plan for invasion of the Soviet Union. Hopefully enough that it will really improve our chances of pushing deeply into them. Okay. Yeah, this is the one I want to go for. That's the one I want to go there. We're going to start patrolling the Black Sea. Yes, we'll give you energy. Yes, we'll at least cancel out that. We need to get these. Okay, 10, 4, yeah. These are an important part of my supply strategy. These transports. It will be worth it. I don't know if I'll break them down into smaller. Oh shoot, I was worried about this. I took a gamble. Yeah, they messed me up badly. Should have gone back. Okay, we're gonna head back to here then. Rebase. Took a gamble, lost, oops. Wouldn't do it with real people. Not that, but I wanted them over here, but I thought I could, because I got here before we got to Gibraltar, and I should have just sent them back around. And let's take a quick look around the map. You're hearing all those sub-sinkings. We can take a quick look at the, Axis Lake. Sure, they have a few ships we know there, but they're basically cut off, and if they come out, Italy will deal with them. We're messing with these guys here, so here I think that's gonna better hit the supply convoy that is. So we're sinking ships all the way out here. Lots of losses. There, we're getting convoy raiders are messing with them around here. You can see all along here. Because now that we've shut the Mediterranean down, both directions, supplies going out, resources coming back are all getting hit around here. We're hitting a few vessels around here, doing some damage there. This is probably not so useful anymore now that we've shut down some other stuff. Rebasing, and we'll see about what else we can do. Getting a few losses out there, and we still have the grass spay. We're doing some damage to them there. Another convoy raider is hitting out there, so we're doing that now. Also, let's look at the situation in the Pacific. Japan has ended one more faction there in China. Nationalist China is into little pockets. Well, they're doing it best, I would say, fair here in the Philippines. Got an occupational force type stuff set up. They're not occupying it yet, they're still fighting over. I noticed a little before starting this session, the US has made a landing here. And Japan's holding out there, so that's sort of an interesting situation. Japan has come down here. Not sure if this was scripted. I don't think so, but I'm not sure. Some of these were Japanese territory, these islands out here, but they've taken, what is it, Australian territory. And they're doing fairly well here on Borneo. And underforced here, and I don't know why they're not pushing a little better, but they're pushing down Malaya and Peninsula towards Singapore fairly well, and they're messing around with Burma. So things are going fairly well. I just want to check out them. Is anybody? Yeah, we're influencing them. Good. And they're a long ways from being allied with us, but still. Alright. Back to the war for a little bit. This fleet is going to be my, as it already is, a southern invasion fleet. Okay, yeah. Cut off the supplies to there. Okay, they're moving in. Once, well, do we wait? No, we drive on them. We're still moving into there, that's good. What research did we just achieve? Recon unit coordination, that's good. That should keep us moving forward effectively. Increase, that'll be useful. Okay, I think we're going to end this session here. It's looking likely that maybe the next session we will be starting the big invasion. Thank you for viewing. Please post your feedback.